Thank you, Director Brothman. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. As she mentioned, my name is Anita Levels. I'm one of the four Civil Rights Outreach Coordinators with the PHRC. So welcome to our Social Justice Lunch and Learn. We are honored to have Dr. Ling Dinse with us today. Now, she mentioned that we can call her Ling, but if you are a student, you have to call her Dr. Dinse.
My student.
You're her student. That's right. You're her student. You have to call her Dr. Dinse. So it's an honor to just read her bio this afternoon. Dr. Ling Dinse is a seasoned practitioner with over 3 decades of experience as a social worker. She actively speaks on racial reconciliation, marriage enrichment, intentional dialogue, human trafficking awareness, and social justice issues. Dr. Dinse enjoys academic research, focusing on promoting relational healing, and Dr. Dinse grew up in a government-subsidized housing project in Hong Kong, spending most of her childhood in poverty, which gave her first-hand insight into the lives of the oppressed and disadvantaged. To help support her family, she took on piecemeal work, including trimming sweater threads for a local sweatshop. As a child, Dr. Dinse witnessed many of her friends fall victim to gang violence, prostitution, gambling addiction, and substance abuse due to the hopelessness created by poverty. She escaped this despair through the help of a local charity organization that provided her with a quality education and a solid foundation in practical life skills. Dr. Dinse's childhood experiences shaped her passion for social work, and her Christian faith sustains her commitment to serving those in need. Dr. Dinse earned her BA and MSW degrees from the State University of New York at Buffalo and received her Doctor of Social Work degree from Millersville University in Pennsylvania. She currently chairs the Department of Social Work at Messiah University. And in addition, she is a board member of the Pennsylvania State Board of Social Workers, Marriage and Family Therapists, and Professional Counselors. Dr. Dinse has been married to her husband for 34 years, and they have 2 adult daughters and 2 son-in-laws. Without any further ado, Dr. Ling Dinse.
Thank you, Anita, and thank you, Amanda. What a delight it is an honor to be with you. I just want you to know that social justice is something I'm truly passionate about as a Pennsylvanian I live here almost 30 years, and this is the issues that I continue to be passionate about and wanting to contribute to our state and as a citizen of Pennsylvania. I want to start out our presentation with a little bit of warm-up questions. You can just type your answers in the chat. The first question I ask is, do you feel that our society is increasingly more polarized? If you agree with this statement, based on the level of agreement, you can write 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 being strongly disagree. I'm seeing some of the answers pouring in right now. I see lots of 5s, some 4s. All right, it's just kind of good. Thank you. Thank you for those of you who typed it in. It kind of give us the sense of why we need to have this topic in relation to social justice. Yeah, I see some 5s, continues some 5s and some 4s. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I see a lot of 5s. So I feel that the topic we have is very appropriate then in terms of helping us promote social justice in our community. Let me ask you another question. The polarization in our society hurts community relationships. And again, if you want to type in the answer in the chat box, so we have a sense of what you're thinking about this. Do you think the polarization hurts community relationships? 5s. Lots of 5s. I see lots of 5s. Some 4s coming in. I didn't see 1 or 2 thus far. Mostly 4 and 5s. It just gives us the support that why we have to keep talking about this issue. How about this? Do you think polarization of society hurts personal relationships? I've heard in the past that people would refuse to talk to their relatives about certain topics because it becomes so polarized and it hurt their relationships. Yeah, I see some of you echo that sentiments, lots of fives coming in. Again, I hadn't seen any ones or twos, mostly fours and fives. All right, we have just a couple more of those just to get a sense of where we're at as a group. I feel comfortable having face-to-face discussions about hot topics with my family. Where are you at with that? Some fives, okay. Anybody maybe in the, okay, I'm saying, well, that's great. A lot of you are very comfortable talking to your family about hot topics. When I did this particular presentation with different groups, there were some ones and twos. People was like, I'm not comfortable. But it could be because you're here because when you talk about social justice issues, certainly you're passionate about it and interested in it. So maybe you're more comfortable with navigating that. That's great. Thank you. All right, just two more of this. I feel comfortable having face-to-face discussion about hot topics with my friends. See if there's any, okay, still lots of fours and fives. You guys have wonderful friends. Some of my students will put one and twos because they're a little nervous about that. That's wonderful. I'm glad to see. So maybe what I'm going to talk about today is just more like reminding you, oh, fives, I love that exclamation mark from Nicole. So that's great. Maybe what we're going to talk about is more just like a reminder to strengthen the skills in discussing hard topics with your friend group and family. How about this? Do you feel comfortable having face-to-face discussion about hot topic with your coworkers? Okay, sometimes, yeah, now the number is going a little because I think you don't know, you don't have that closeness, you don't have that relationships to really do some of those conversation, and you don't want to hurt those working relationships. Some of you are able to, and some of you are not able to. And again, none of this has any judgment to it other than just to get a sense. The polarization in our society is making it really hard for us to build a just community because you can't really address issues, especially issues, social justice, without honest discussion. I think of it very much like if someone has cancer cells in their body, if we deny their cancer in our community or in our body, we cannot address it. So we cannot have honest conversation, then we'll never get to the bottom of it and addressing the issues. So thank you very much for those of you that contributed in the chat and giving me a sense of where you're at with those questions I have. So now I have to go to number 8. Okay, so maybe if you're comfortable, I can have one or two people just pop in and share. What are some of the reasons you don't feel comfortable discussing hot topics with other people? One or two. I won't expect the introverts to share, but if they're extroverts here, you feel free to share. There, one or two of you, if you can pop in and just share this. What are some of the reasons you don't feel comfortable discussing hot topics with others? If I'll wait another maybe 30 seconds, see if someone will pop in and share. Okay, that's okay if you're not comfortable sharing. How about typing it in the chat, just one word? What are some of the reasons you don't feel comfortable discussing hot topics with others? Or maybe why do you think people are uncomfortable discussing hot topic? If you type them in the chat, just one word explaining or just an educated guess, why do you think that's the case?
Yes, Dr. Dinse, we have a couple of comments here. Depending on the topic, I will avoid the topic to preserve the relationship. Someone mentioned here, most of the hot topics can be divisive.
Yeah.
Opening up a can of worms.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those are pretty like common reasonings, and so you're not alone in that regard. Thank you for sharing that. I want to give you a learning objectives of what we're going to talk about today. The title is called Intentional Dialogue, Bridging the Divide Through Conversation. And there are two specific learning objectives is that we want to talk about the concept and how to practice this specific skill set called intentional dialogues. And I want to share the guidelines and steps with you so that you can take it into your workplace or community and promote conversations to encourage the practice of social justice and equity in your community. So I'm going to dive right into that. The reason I started out doing the research on intentional dialogue is, like I asked you in the beginning, I just observe polarizations in our societies, and it started to hurt the relationships with people within the community and with your neighbors or with your family or friends. And it's just so heartbreaking because if we can't talk to each other, how do we get to know each other? If we don't get to know each other, how do we build a just society? So I started looking at different ways to encourage, as an educator in college setting, I want to encourage my students to have the skill sets to engage with people from diverse populations and diverse backgrounds so they can have a good community and strong community with honest conversations. And I always tell my students, you don't have to agree with me. You can totally disagree with me, but do it in a way that's polite and respectful. And that's the skills is what we needed to encourage honest and fair conversations. So I started doing research because I was concerned about the lack of skills in our community among college students, even with people that I talk to. They seem to just have strong opinion without being open to hear other people's perspective. So I believe that when we have intentional dialogue, we can support the work of social justice. And because that requires us to put ourselves in other people's place. If you are not the person that feeling the injustice, we still need to be able to empathize with those that struggle with that and have experienced that oppression. So having honest and fair conversation and authentic conversation is a very important skills to reach that goal. So what exactly is intentional dialogue? It is a structured way to have conversation that's constructive and is evidence-based. In the education world, we talk a lot about evidence-based. We don't want to just do something because we think it will work. This particular method of conversation has been researched, and I've conducted multiple research and published some papers on it to see the effectiveness of it. And I'm going to share some of the research result with you. And towards the end, you have a chance to practice using this intentional dialogue format, because my hope is for you to have those skill sets and guidelines and take it to the community, to your community, and have those honest, good conversations to promote social justice. There are multiple intentional dialogues methods, and the one I particularly going to highlight is called living room conversations and reflective structured dialogues. And the intentional dialogue research I've conducted is that I combined those two methods and created guidelines to encourage and promote honest conversation on topics that usually would be uncomfortable in a group setting. So you can see in this little chart I explained, we use the living room conversations, adding reflective structured dialogues, and it's what we call intentional dialogue. And let me explain what each one is. Living room conversations is a model that basically bring people together with different perspective and then invite them to engage in conversations about contentious topics. And then living room conversation, the goal and the aim is basically want to promote respectful environment and a peaceful interaction. It's in civil discourse, and oftentimes it provides the grounds for collaborative action. So you go from having civic conversations, and then you do, oh, I lost my slide. Let me see if I could find the slide back for you folks. Share. I don't know what happened to the slide. Let me see. Amanda, do you have the slides that are conveniently pull up?
It's going to take me a minute to pull them up, but yes,
I
can.
Okay, let me see if I can. Yeah.
And also, Hetty got kicked out as well, Amanda. This is the other ASL interpreter. Oh.
Okay, so let me see if I can find the particular ad. Sure, what happened? Sorry, guys. My PowerPoint just went away. So let me see if I can find it back. All right. Here's the PowerPoint. It's on my screen.
And Amanda, Hetty is back, so we are good on our side.
Thank you.
Oh, here it. Are we looking
I
at
see the slides.
Okay, but then I lose the rest of you, so keep talking so I don't hold you guys up. So let me see. Here we go. Are you looking at the slide now, folks?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
I can
well,
see
let me
that
just
already.
keep going so we don't lose our momentum. Here we go. Here, I think I stopped somewhere around here. Here you go. So I just want to tell you a little bit about living room conversation and what it is. It's really what it sounded just like it is. You have conversation in your living room with your neighbors, with people that in your community. And the goal and the aim is really to have those honest, authentic conversation that results in collaborative actions to encourage your community to be more just. So I want to show you that. Now I have to go to, here you go. Here's the living room conversation guidelines. And when you get to practice towards the end, those are the guidelines I will repeat so that we remember. And the first rule is to be curious and listen to understand. Oftentimes we don't, we listen to people. I did an air quote because we were not listening to understand. We were listening to what they have to say and get ready to argue with them. So living room conversation intentionally wants you to be curious about what the other person has to say and listen to understand them. Of course, it's very important to show respect and suspend judgment. People's lived experiences matters and it's important, and that shapes how they think and feel about certain issues. So we're not going to judge their lived experiences. Be authentic and welcome that from others. And this is something I grew up in the projects in the inner city, and that's why I said I'm really good at seeing if someone is authentic or not, because I interact with so many different people group. And being authentic all across the board, I think it doesn't matter what culture you're from, is always welcome and is always important. Be purposeful and to the point. This is something that I need to learn how to refine to do that. English is not my first language, so sometimes I take longer to explain things, but specifically if you don't, English is not a challenge for you. This is a point that be important to practice, is to be purposeful when you say something and to the point. So when you meander through all those points, and you already lose people, and then it's hard to engage with you. The last one is really one of the most important. I see a lot of tensions that people have conversations, mostly because they're not taking ownership and responsibility for the quality of conversation. If all of us are willing to engage in this responsibility of having quality conversation and not let it kind of just keep going into not a good place, it will help. So those are some of the guidelines and rules that we have when we engage in honest conversations. The reflective structured dialogues is what I also use in creating this intentional dialogue experience. What reflective structured dialogue is, the goal is to use what we call reflective techniques. Like, I hear you say this. It's very much what we teach our counseling students in terms of listening skills, to make sure we're not misunderstanding what the other person has to say. And it's really called active listening. I'm sure all of you have heard of active listening. So the reflective structured dialogue is a skill set to equip you to participate in active listening. And active listening, even you disagree with someone, but you honor the person's presence by being active in listening what they have to say and valuing what they have to say, even you don't agree with them. So as I have repeated this point several times, is that civic discourse forms the basis for collaborative actions in order for us to advance social justice, it takes all of us in the community working towards this goal. So if we can talk in a civic way, then hopefully we can form constructive collaborative actions to advance social justice. And I believe that, one of my heroes is Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King, and his legacy of nonviolence resistance really inspired community action. And I believe meaningful conversation can galvanize people and build relationship in the community in order to move in powerful actions to address injustice. So I want to tell you a little bit of research I've done. I won't use too many of those technical words and bore you during your lunch hour, but I just want to tell you that there was a couple of studies I've done in Pennsylvania. One is actually in conjunction with Millersville University when I was teaching another institution, a faith-based institution. And all of us were teaching similar class on human diversity and cultural diversity. So we polled all those students from both institutions to using this intentional dialogue to encourage students to have conversations on really sensitive topics. And I'll show you some of the topics in a minute. And what we have came to find out is that it doesn't matter they're in faith institution, in secular institution, none of those matter. What matters is that structure, intentional dialogue, has helped our students grow and be excited about learning other people's experiences and challenge their own stereotypes about other people. And so that's what's very exciting for us. Like we feel like we find a way, a simple, low cost, cost is important, way for our students to be equipped to have conversations and to be good citizens and to encourage them to learn about other people's experience so they can all grow together. So it was a very exciting study. And then I did a follow-up study in a faith-based institution and found very similar trends. So let me show you the result. Both studies found that students from both institutions respond positively to the format intentional dialogue. And in my follow-up study, I find the same thing. And so this is how we did it. We have students randomly assigned to groups, which will be something you'll be practicing later. We'll randomly assign you to groups. And I'll give you some low stick question. I won't give you hot topic questions because I do want you to come back and to engage in this Lunch and Learn series. So I don't want to scare you off. But I gave them those rules. You speak to be understood, not to persuade or correct. Listen to understand, not to reply. You're not replying to anyone. You just go listen. And then at the end, you're allowed to get asked for clarifying questions after everybody had a chance to share. So everyone responds to the same question. They all take turn and each person get 2 minutes. So no one can dominate a conversation. And the introverted among us still need to share. But anyway, so they will all share, taking turns sharing, and no one were being interrupted. At the end, if they have clarifying question, they can ask, hey, when you share this, can you explain to me what you mean by that? Is to clarify and not to make a judgment or a value judgment on what they have to share. And each of the conversation took about 50 minutes. And here are some of the questions we've asked. One of the topic I asked is about race and racism. And you can see those are not the most comfortable questions in a classroom, people that you just happen to have 16 weeks together in a semester. But the students rose to the occasions and they actually, a few of them realized they needed to expand their horizon and get to know people that are different from their social groups. And I saw a couple of them set up lunch date and coffee date together to continue the conversation. It was very rewarding for me as a professor to see the students take on the information they learned and grow and to be a better citizen. So that was exciting to me. And this study was taking place during COVID. So mask wearing was tense topic at one point. So I wrote a bunch of questions and asked them those questions about mask wearing and have them thoughtfully think about why they think about certain issues instead of politicalizing it. I want them to really think through those issues by looking at their fellow classmates instead of judging someone thinking differently than them. And here's some of the findings I have from one of the study. I asked them if this structured conversation called intentional dialogue is meaningful to them. And this is specifically on the discussion on racism, oppression, and religious oppression. And what I found was all the students, 100% of them fall in the category very meaningful, extremely meaningful. Nobody said it was not meaningful. And I don't know how have you been in the classroom recently to get students engaged in something and not say this is boring. It's really quite an accomplishment. I feel like I accomplished something exciting that students actually appreciated the assignment and find it very meaningful. And that was very exciting to see. And I want to share some of their comments from the research follow-up. I asked them, well, what do you think about this topic? And they wrote some qualitative answer, open-ended question answer. And this is some of the answers from actual students. They're not from us. This one student said, I realized that it's possible to have a decent conversation while talking about heated topics. And I wish everyone in our community could say that. This one student say somehow because of politics and a couple other societal concerns, it's become slightly more difficult to communicate with one another without the fear of starting an argument. And I think somebody even mentioned why it's scary to have conversation on heated topic. And this student say, I think I appreciate this conversation because we were able to lovingly discuss with each other, even if we did not agree with each other. I just feel so proud of my students when I read those comments. Here's another question I asked them, said, what are some things you learned about other people's lived experiences? Because I want to know if they learned anything. Should I continue to use this format to teach them to talk to people that might have different opinions than them? And this one student said, they learned the importance of listening to other people in order to understand them. And here's the sentence they wrote to support that. I love the format of the experience and that it left space for us to really think about what question means to us individually. Because of that, we got to hear not only people's story, but their perspective and views from their life stories. Everyone's lives have validity, and I have so much to learn from their stories. And I think when I read that, I actually cried. I was so excited to see students care about other people and realizing that they have so much to learn from other people. I always tell my students that when I grow up, I want to be like them because they are so thoughtful. And I get so excited when I see them being such wonderful human beings. I say, oh, I want to be just like them. This is other students say, I was reminded that we need to see the person and not lose that and be blinded when in an argument or disagreement. I become aware that having this kind of conversation are not impossible and they can done civically. So I think sometimes I feel like our politicians could learn from our students how to have meaningful conversations without attacking someone. And this student say sometimes necessary to take a step back and reevaluate my own beliefs. Because a lot of our students, what they have was they repeat the belief they heard from social media, from their parents, from their family, and from just whatever the feeds they get for the day, social media feed. And they're not thoughtful about where do you get those ideas from? Are they even fair and just ideas? So it's nice that they had the time to pause and think about it. And so this student continues to say, because it's not always the other people whose beliefs are off. They realize that maybe their beliefs are not quite right and need to be readjusted. Sometimes I need to reconsider what I believe. So before I continue, I really want some feedback from you. I only see my slide and I don't see your beautiful faces. And I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Yeah, I'll stop sharing because I want to see any comments and feedback or questions thus far before I continue.
If you have a question, you can raise your hand or you can put it in the chat.
Yeah, that's great. Or have comments about what you read. I hope you're as excited as I am about what my students have shared about intentional dialogue and how it has helped them grow as good citizens. So if not, I can certainly continue. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody.
It looks
Oh,
like we
now,
have one comment in the chat just
okay.
says speak to be understood and that they love that.
Yeah, yeah. I think oftentimes I'm kind of guilty of that. Sometimes I speak and I'm not waiting for the other person to finish talking because I just want to make my point and prove that they are wrong. And that's such an unhelpful way to have a meaningful conversation and develop authentic relationship. All right, so I'm gonna go back into the PowerPoint and so I could share with you. Share. Hmm. Are you seeing it or no? Are you guys seeing my screen?
Not yet.
Oh,
Not
okay.
yet.
So I'm not doing that quite right. Windows. Ah, right here. I found it. I'm becoming, is that better? Are you guys seeing it?
Yes.
Oh,
Got
great.
it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. All right, so the other thing the student got was some personal insights, and I wanted, like, hopefully, it just a couple of slides because I'm so excited about this evidence-based intentional dialogue, and and by the end of the presentation, you will know how to do it yourself, and I hope you can carry this on in your community. So the student also said they got some fresh insight about themselves through engaging in this intentional dialogue. Several of them realize a tendency within themselves to make assumptions about other people, and they have tendency to judge the book by its cover, and they're dismayed at realizing these attributes to be true of themselves. So they realize that they're a little bit more judgmental than they realized, and they were making too many assumptions about other people. So once they sit down and talk to someone, even have very different lived experiences and different political views than them, they have fellow classmates that have a lot of things in common with them and have experiences that is very exciting and they can learn from. And they realize they were making a judgment by just not even getting to know that person. And this one student said, today I became more aware about how much my perspective on racism has changed since being in this class. And I think not just in the class, I think in the discussion too. It enabled me to notice and address microaggressions. So I said, if I taught the last 15 years of being high ed, if this is the only student I can reach, and I feel very excited to hear that finally, I have a student actually can tell me they have noticed they have microaggression and they want to be part of the change agent to not engage in it. This one student said using this structured conversation make them feel safe to talk about things. I think this discussion is important because the guidelines and rules that are in place, I know when I'm speaking for the minute or two that it's just me getting to share what I want others to learn without being attacked for it. I think that's how discussion of oppression should be. And I think we can change that topic. Discussion on any topic should be, right? And then the next finding we have from all the research we have done, we saw the student able to realize that it challenged the existing stereotypes about other people, and as they listen to their fellow classmates' stories. So that was beautiful for me to see and read. So this is when I'm going to give you a chance to practice intentional dialogue and breaking you into groups at some point. But let me just review the guideline. And then once I break you into a group, you're going to have a list of questions discussed, and we'll come back together and do some reflection together. So here's the rule that I read earlier, so I'm going to do it again so that you're aware of them. Maybe you want to take a screenshot even, because once you go off into your room to do discussion with your group, you might not be able to see the rules. So the rules are: be curious and listen to understand, show respect and suspend judgment, be authentic and welcome that from others, be purposeful and to the point, take responsibility for the quality of conversation. Here's the 5 rules. And here is how you do it. So once you break into groups, you might want to you should have a volunteer that will ask the questions that I will post, and one volunteer to keep track of time. So you will have 1 minute to respond to each question. Usually it's 2, but because we only have about 15 minutes or so, I didn't want to go over. So each person has 1 minute to respond to each question. And you're speaking to be understood and listening to understand. So after each group member provides initial response, the person that do the reading the question can ask, does anyone has clarifying questions? So clarifying question is, tell me about this. When you say that, can you clarify to me? Not to correct that person. Do you really mean this? That's not what this is about. And then after everyone has provided initial response, the opportunity to ask clarifying question, then you repeat the process of the next questions. So this is when I would like to pause and see if anybody has any questions about that, about the format.
I'll just mention too that if anybody needs ASL services, just put in the chat and then we can assign an interpreter into your room.
All right, so I have two sets of questions, but I thought maybe I'll start with the introducing yourself. If before you go off to your room, maybe you can take screenshots of those three questions. Introduce the person that read the question will read those three things, and then you will share. And then the actual questions about AI usage, and I think that's kind of relevant nowadays about AI. So I'm not asking you anything scary, but I think it'll be, and then we'll come back at 12. This is 12:40, so 15, 12. So 12:55, we'll come back and do the last slide of reflection together. So Amanda, if you don't mind breaking people into group, and there are two sets they will ask the question about. The first is more like a warm-up question, and the second one's about AI.
Okay, I'll start making the groups.
We have 5 minutes, so I'm gonna get us concluded with the last one slide I have is about reflecting on our experience. So it might require one or two of you to share. Does anyone want to share about what was the most meaningful to you in this intentional dialogue experience you just had? Anyone? Okay, I saw Elena. Go ahead, Elena.
Yeah, thank you, Alana. I
Alana,
really
sorry.
enjoyed the opportunity to connect with some of my colleagues and learn more about how they think and feel and some of their habits and practices, know them on a slightly more intimate, non-work related level.
Oh, that's so awesome. That's the whole purpose of that is so that you can get to know someone in a genuine level. Polite pretending is a very exhausting experience. So I appreciate authenticity. All right. So is there any new understanding or common ground you found on this topic on AI for some of you? If it's uncomfortable to share publicly, maybe you want to just type in the chat, and then maybe Anita and Amanda can help me read the chat as well.
Sure. I don't want to take up space. I want to give someone else space to speak, but I can definitely speak what happened in our group. Someone else.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. We were just speaking about speaking of artificial intelligence, there seems to be artificial connections in this age of artificial intelligence, just superficial connectivity, and just a level of isolation that seems like a lot of folks may be dealing with when it comes to the space that we're in, even in our commuting and a lot of teleworking. We just shared a lot of that as far as since the pandemic, how a lot has changed with our connection and our ability to even communicate because of that.
Yeah.
And even our concern with the generations to come with the ability to communicate, AI boyfriends, AI girlfriends.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking about authenticity and how we're actually building networks of superficial communication and even connections with AI.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I think social media has not helped us and actually impede on the growth of an authentic relationship. I always say people hide in plain sight. So they actually sharing, but not really sharing. So with the last 2 minutes left, I just want to see if maybe anybody want to share. Is there something you want to do, or like you want to carry this particular intentional dialogue into your community? Is that a next step you would like to have based on just the experience we just had or the materials you just learned? Anybody want to share a next step possibly that they want to do? We have 30 seconds. Here's your chance. All right, this has been a very worthwhile. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you, Johnny, for saying that. It was a worthwhile presentation for you. I am glad that you didn't waste your lunch hour. So, very good. Well, it's been a real joy and honor. Oh, thank you. Excellent present. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for attending. And it takes all of us, and in our group, we talked about how important it is for us to not give up in pursuing social justice, but it takes all of us doing it together. So I appreciate all of you partnering with me, even in this very hour, 1 hour, maybe perhaps we go into our own different sphere influence and make a difference in having meaningful and authentic conversations with others. Well, take care, everyone. It's so good to meet all of you online. If you have further questions or need materials for the presentation, reach out. I think maybe reach out to Amanda. Let me know. I'll be happy to share the presentation with you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dinse.
Thank you.
It was an
Thank
honor
you
having
all.
you.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you for having me. It's a joy to be here. Have a
Yes.
wonderful afternoon.
Yes, and we can definitely share your information through
Absolutely.
Director Brofman. And
Yes.
our next Lunch and Learn will be Tuesday, September 23rd. We're going to have Director Contrell Armour from the Pennsylvania Statewide After School Youth Development Network. He's going to talk about Beyond the Bell. Can you believe that school is starting back up again? And it's the power and the promise of out of school time in Pennsylvania. So please come back with us next month. Thank you all again for being with us today. Stay well, you all. Thank you.
Thank you.